What's going on, Juneteenth family?
I have to take the lead because if I don't now, when will I do it?
These are all dance groups mixes from since 90.
And risks are important. Risk creates results.
Make sure that you surround yourself with not only the word, but with positivity.
Foremost, for having me on for Lunch and Learn.
We start off by wearing all of the hats. Pun intended right there with the hats.
But we start special needs children with disabilities.
I have over 30 years plus experience as a quality professional.
We basically reconstructed what we took part in deconstruct. All the street maintenance. That's how we came up with street maintenance.
I almost had to deal with MCA Records at the age of 19.
Wait
I also partner with other daycares. We're not in a competition yet. We're not in a competition.
Hello, everyone. My name is Athenia Rodney, CEO and founder of Juneteenth NYC. I am really excited on today to have an amazing guest. And I always say this almost every week, but this week I have had the pleasure of sitting down and speaking to her for a while. And she has such a thought-provoking background. She has a little one that is coming up in the rear right behind her. Her voice. She is a person who wants to be known just like her mama. So I would like to introduce to some, and to introduce to most and all. So we have Leonora. I'm going to tell you a little bit of background information about her. She has been doing a lot, and especially since this is our National Poetry Month, she is going to talk to us in that space and bring some of her. I hope she's going to do some spoken word. We didn't even talk about that. Like, I hope you're going to drop some bars for us, a couple of somethings, since it is. I'm putting her on the spot. Since it is National Poetry Month, but it's a privilege to introduce Leonora Martelly, a beacon of inspiration, deeply committed to community upliftment and social justice, and that is near and dear to my heart. She is recognized for her exceptional leadership. Leonora's influence extends across prestigious forums and renowned media outlets. Through her platform, She Is Made LLC, she channels the power of art for mental wellness. And that is definitely a dope thing. I wish you were here in Georgia, because I would definitely be like, come, I'm doing a wellness event in a couple of weeks, come. But she is definitely dedicated to service. She organizes philanthropic endeavors to advocate for inclusivity, which is a very big thing right now, especially with all the challenges that we are going through in the Black community and the others. She underscores her profound impact in creating a more compassionate world. I feel like we should sing, "We Are the Children of the Future." So join me in welcoming Leonora Martelly as we celebrate her unwavering commitment to empowerment and positive change. Hello. How you doing?
Hi, how are you? That was an amazing introduction. Thank you very much.
I'm a little sad because I don't see the baby with you, but I know you got to work. So
I'll still make a little stop by.
Okay. We would love, we especially with us after being in COVID, I feel like, children are a part of everything that we do. And my kids might pop in here, at some point. But to get us started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So my name is Leonora Martelly. I am the founder of She Is Made LLC, a 4-time award-winning self-published author, a youth advocate, a social justice worker, media maven, public speaker. I mean, the list goes on, but everything that I do is in alignment to what I believe in, what I'm passionate about. And that's one, servicing underserved communities, using art and poetry as a tool for mental health and wellness, and creating community and thriving as a community.
I so love that. You know, we are overall, like I was sharing as I was reading your bio, like we're right now we're under attack. Like in the Black community, we are severely under attack. Anything and everything that was created to make the Black community better and to grow us is being completely removed from us. Scholarships, grants, all of those things. So tell us, what inspired you to start She Is Made, and what do you hope to achieve with it?
It's kind of a long-winded story, so I'll try to keep it brief for the sake of time. But I started She Is Made right after I finished and self-published my book, Made, which I'm big on definitions. It means built, shaped, or formed in a specified way. I believe everything that you go through made you who you are today. And during the pandemic, I actually had just got promoted into the mentorship and after-school program manager in a high school. And so I had to connect to adults through a screen, which looked relatively older than me. And they're looking at me like, who is this person that's coming in and telling me what to do? And so that was challenging, in addition to being completely scared out of my mind about this virus, being impacted personally by family members who passed away and who had the virus, and then not being able to breathe with all the social injustices that were just literally in our faces on a day-to-day basis. I was just completely overstimulated, unenthused, and just was not in a good place. And so I leaned on my writing and published Made. And the thought process for me was, I'm sure I'm not the only one going through this. So I initially started having gatherings, like I started Free Us Friday, which I'll get into a little bit later during this conversation, just as a community gathering where we can all talk and vent and have community leaders kind of guide us, kind of just feeling where we are. And then I said to myself, you know, art has kind of assisted in my time of need and my darkness during the pandemic. And how can I now, using my experience, provide that to my community who's in need as well, and like-minded creatives who are kind of in a funk or are stuck because of what's going on within our Black community? And how can I utilize that to create impact? So I leveraged my passion, and I leveraged something that I love to do as a hobby into a successful business where I cater to our community and BIPOC communities and underserved communities. And it's been booming ever since.
I love that. So you dropped a lot of nuggets in that. So first and foremost, I want to go to your story. And I know this is not, I want to know a little bit more about your story. So I very much am a strong believer of what you shared. Like your past experiences is what made you, you know, who you are today. And it was funny because, I don't know, God just made me really different. When I was younger, I was experiencing a lot of things. And all I would say to myself was, I know I'm going through this for something that I need in the future. And I was like 7, 8 years old. And I'm in thinking this to myself, like, you know, all right, God, I know you're going to get me through this because this is something that I'm going to need, you know, for my future. So can you share, you know, if you feel comfortable, 1 or 2 things that, you know, really impressed upon your heart to as a young person that you knew that you see coming to fruition now?
Whoa, deep question. I don't think I've ever been asked that question thus far in like my interview runs. But what comes to mind initially, the first thing when thinking about being a woman, a young Black woman, first generation American. I grew up in a predominantly Haitian culture. My mom's Haitian and Dominican, my dad's Haitian and Italian. And in that household, a lot of the times it's kind of like, I'm the adult, you're the child. Do as I say, you're not supposed to talk back. And this is nothing to my parents and how I was brought up, because they did an amazing job with what they had and the resources they had. Like my mom literally came over here on a boat, right? But that part of silencing me. And I was also always so eclectic, right? And being silenced and kind of boxed in a space where it's like, this is how it's supposed to go, and not being able to say why. Like, why is 1 + 1 + 2 for real? And why is this, right? I've always been that, and they would call that rebellious. For me, it's curiosity. It's me wanting to learn and expand in my knowledge.
Yeah.
And so when I got older, believe it or not, I was relatively shy, very, very shy as a child because of that. And when I got older, I started to lean on writing to kind of help me express myself. And now I'm passing the torch. I'm helping other people express themselves in ways that they feel more comfortable. You might feel more comfortable writing a poem, telling a story, drawing something, than actually sitting here talking one-to-one and letting me know, like, this is what I've been through.
Yeah.
A second instance that comes to mind is being sexually assaulted. I was 14 years old by a family member, kind of a distant cousin who had came to live with us for quite some time. And she had an older boyfriend. And long story short, I was sexually assaulted. And that took a very big toll on me for many years. It took me 12 years to actually confront her after that.
Wow.
And mentally, it was daunting. And a lot of the time, again, in Caribbean or Black households, seeking therapy or talking to someone else, you're not supposed to do. Our business is our business. It stays in the house. One. Two, nobody needs to know that it might be held against you. What else? Something happens and they pull your file. That's like law. And if you go to therapy, that means something's wrong with you, where it's not.
Yeah.
And I debunk that 100%. I feel like if you're Black in America, you should be in therapy, period.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much to deal with. You know what I'm saying? So,
Amen.
So I created, a space that's therapeutic in just a different way for creatives and those who are seeking a different way to express themselves and come together. And I do Tribe Talk Thursdays where I go live. Sometimes, depending on the topic, I'll do a Zoom if it's more intimate and it's requested by my audience.
Okay.
But I have panelists based on the conversation and their experiences and their expertise. And we talk about certain things. And I'm very pro-she. I wouldn't call myself a feminist, but I have my own thing with that, but I'm very pro-she. And so we have conversations around sexual assault, domestic violence, resources for that, hotlines, and what that's like and how do we heal from that. So that's another instance.
First of all, I like this term. I'm gonna be using it now. I'm pro-she. I'm loving that as a whole new movement, like the pro-she movement.
I should trademark that.
You should. You definitely should. Because I don't know. I'm definitely like you. I was in that space that, kind of rebellious days. My grandmother was from the South. I had a little bit of South and a Caribbean because my mother was from the Caribbean and the South, and my grandmother, who grew up in the end of slavery where she had to go through back doors and all that other stuff. She was very much in that same space too, where it was like, what happens in the house stays in the house. Like, nobody needs to know what's going on in that house, or they're going to take you and then you will be with somebody else and God knows what else is going to happen there. So I totally understand. And there's so much of that's been happening, that whole shame of being able to tell your story. So I love the fact that you are utilizing that as one of your catalysts for your story, to propel yourself and just to be aware. I have a daughter too, and I was in a similar situation. I think it was by a cab driver that they tried to take me and tried to molest me in the back of the car. I had to jump out, so just being aware of all of the things that are out there, and it can happen anywhere. That was just one scenario. One of my best friends, her father, I remember it all the time. Her father tried to get me to touch him after I was leaving her house. So it's do you go and tell your friend that? So there's so many stories that we in the Black community have and we don't talk about.
Carry shame. They make you feel shameful about it. And the worst part about it is that the Black woman is the highly disregarded, right? Yeah. So if something was to happen or a Black child or a Black woman goes missing, we don't hear about it that much. No. Now, if Karen or Wilma or whatever goes missing, it's plastered all over the news. Everyone's out searching. And so when things like that happen to you, it's like, will they believe me? What is my community going to think? I'm ashamed of myself. Should I have reacted a different way? so many other things.
What did they do? What did they? It's like the what did they do to deserve it?
Right.
What did they do to deserve it? So I wanted to thank you for indulging me. I know it wasn't part of our questions, but I like to go a little bit off the script because you were saying some keywords that were kind of triggering things for me.
Yeah, for sure.
So how do you think about art forms like poetry, music, and just art in general? How do you feel like that can help to improve your mental health, especially with knowing, with just generational trauma that, like, we talk about, in addition to some of those outskirting traumas, like abuse, like, that sexual abuse.
Absolutely. I'm a strong believer in the fact that poetry, music, and visual arts can improve mental health in several ways, especially in underserved communities, which we kind of just touched on with what we were talking about. But it's about like expression, providing mediums for individuals to express their thoughts, their emotions, their experiences, which can be relieving and provide a sense of comfort and feeling like you're not alone. Then there's creativity and self-discovery, like engaging in art encourages creativity and self-expression and allows individuals to explore their identities and discover new aspects of themselves. Then there's a sense of community. I call my She Is Made community our Made tribe. I believe that we are a tribe, we are a community, we riding out together. I got you, you got me. And so participating in like artistic activities, it fosters like a sense of belonging, and community, which is particularly important for underserved communities to discover new aspects of themselves, right? Including history, which we'll tie in a little bit later, because everything they tell us is not what it is, right?
Very true.
Yeah. And in a lot of underserved communities, social support lacks. It's lacking, right? So when you're building that community and engaging with that community, you feel that sense of support. I also believe that it reduces stress. I know for me, when I create, light a candle, play a vinyl, sit back and I write, it frees my mind. A lot of the times my mind like runs in chapters, like, this is what I have to do. This is what I have to do. I'm thinking about this. What am I curating? There's so many things that's on my mind. And when I just take a second and just create in ease, it reduces stress levels. It promotes relaxation. It offers like a temporary escape from everyday worries and challenges. And then there's empowerment and urgency, like artistic pursuits empowers individuals by giving them a sense of agency and control over their creativity and creative endeavors, which is empowering, especially for marginalized communities, right? So for me, when it comes to utilizing art, poetry, music, there's so many different aspects, even cognitively, with cognitive stimulation, emotional regulation. There's so many different things that help with wellness and your mental health and community building. And I mean, the list goes on. Unfortunately, another part of the question that you asked me originally, like, what did I experience as a child? The schools don't really cater to the creative mind. We live in a society that does not revamp the educational system. We're in a whole new world where tech is ruling. People think their attention span is so short. We have a lot of creatives. We're not catering to that. We don't have that in schools. We don't have that funding. So a lot, especially in underserved communities. So a lot of the times, creating those spaces and having those one-to-one sessions that I have with my clients, or having those workshops, or having the community give backs or community gatherings, provides that space that's been missing in the community and that should be there essentially.
Yeah, you who you touching? So you touching about, like, I have 3 kids, so the fact that I have to go outside the school, all the time to find things for them. And my oldest is in high school, and I was excited when they have counselors for them to be able to work with the kids at the school. But there's like one counselor, and it's like 3,000 kids in the school. And I'm like, so even if there was anything major, like how exactly is somebody supposed to engage with the kids? So she's like, oh, she'll meet with them once a month. And not for nothing, what is once a month going to do?
Right.
You know, and especially, you know, so you have those challenges. So it's like they give a dog a bone. It's like, here's a little bit of something, you know, so I appreciate, you know, organizations like yours, like she is made, being able to come into spaces and offer an outlet for our families. And I'm, you know, and I know we talk about, you know, COVID like it was the worst thing in the world, but it also was a great thing because it allowed for us to have space to not be okay and to talk about not being okay, because so much of our day was going through and it's like, oh, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. You know, I'm getting by. And now it, you know, when y'all had the earthquake the other day, I was like, I'm not okay, because all the things that went on in my head about what could possibly be happening to my family who is in New York, these buildings are large. Like, do we have the infrastructure to support if it was we to get another? And I heard it was another aftershock today. Like, you know, so
I have to open the Bible like, God, I know you said the end of times. These are the warning signs, okay? I'm not ready.
Birthing pains.
It was giving doomsday, even with the solar eclipse.
The solar eclipse on Monday.
Like energy and moon and universe. I was a little scared. I'm like, this is a little crazy. These creatures, these unfamiliar bird type things are supposed to come out, and they haven't been out in 282 years. Then the solar eclipse, like it was just like it didn't. The world just doesn't feel safe. The world just doesn't feel like it's the way that God intended it to be. And sometimes I feel like I don't belong here because it's just like, what's happening? Like, where's the empathy? Where's the love? Where's the support? Where's the unity? You know, like we're provided in so many ways. Gender, race, from abilities, class. Like it's just, it's
that part. Where is the unity? And my husband and I have been talking about that. In our community, we are constantly struggling. And my husband is always the one to, like, you know, pull on my coattail and be like, but is it really about race? And I'm like, yeah, it is, because we have been so entrenched from slavery. Like there's so much that we have to work on. We still have infighting within ourselves, the lighter skin versus the darker skin people. The, you know, the more affluent versus the less affluent people, like all of that is still happening. You know, my husband was like, you see Black people on social media and they're talking about, oh, let me teach you how to, you know, start this business or how to do this for $99. But in the Jewish community, in the Chinese community, in the Arabic community, you don't see that. So how are they learning it? Because they're opening up businesses and they're successful. They have these big businesses. And, you know, we were talking about the other day, he was like, he had across the street one bodega, and then the next block over was another bodega. And they would be like, oh, we don't have it. Go to my cousin's bodega down the block. He has it. So it's like, okay, so y'all are putting your monies together so that y'all can open up these establishments to sell. And we still fighting, you know, when we the biggest thing that is always the biggest pet peeve for me is when somebody is like, I'm like, oh sis, yo, where'd you get that? You know, could you tell me about that insurance, or could you tell me about? And they be like, I had to work for that. I'm not giving you that information. I was like, why not? Like, why wouldn't you help somebody else to get a leg up? Like
It's mind-boggling because I believe in collaboration over competition. There's room for all of us. 100%. We have more of an impact working together, united. So instead of gatekeeping, you should be able to tell me like, hey, like this is what I did, blah blah blah, and I can what you need to learn, I may be able to teach you, and vice versa. But if you're moving in a competitive mindset, then there is no collaboration. There is no room to learn from each other. There is no room to create. I mean, you could create impact by yourself, don't get me wrong, but the impact is so much greater in unity and all of us working together. And it's interesting that you said, to your point, that you see like the Jews and other communities sticking together and opening shops and having all these things because they stick together. And in addition, their education is different, and,
Yep.
and their resources are different as well. They're taught certain things at a young age that we are not privy to. Like in our schools too, it's like, why are we not learning about credit card debt? Why are we not learning about how to build your credit? Why are we don't use checkbooks like that, but I still feel like how to balance a checkbook, mortgage, all these things that are real life skills that you need to know are not being taught in schools.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Again, I was talking to my husband about this too, and we were like, one of my children's teachers, she was like, could you help me find another apartment, like a house rental? And I was like, you don't want to get your own house? And she was like, no, there's no need. And I'm like, she's like, I'm going to leave in the next 5 years anyway. I said, well, think about that. You're going to be paying somebody else's mortgage for 5 years times 12 times whatever amount that is. When we calculated how much we spent before we moved into our house, we paid our landlord $180,000 in 8 years. That's like that. If we would have had that invested in our own house, like, could you imagine where we would be? So the mindset of us is not on there's a lack of understanding still on why we should even do some of these things, why we should go into the next stage. That's not what we're here for. Oh my gosh, we're going into
which impacts our priorities as well, and how we prioritize our finances, specifically the Black community. We like to shine on the outside, but behind closed doors, we're struggling.
Messed up.
And that is an issue, and it's perpetuated in our music, in our schools, and our lifestyles, and how they market to us specifically as well. So racism plays a part in that as well. Like it's a hamster wheel.
I agree. I don't. It's mind-boggling. I pray every night to, like, God, show me the way. Show me, how do I reach our community so that we are able to experience a deeper level of understanding, so that we can help each other to advance. Because what is coming down the line for us right now. One of my friends who's on social media, she put out maybe the beginning of last year. She said by 2028 that 90% of African Americans will be broke. And I was like, nah, that don't make no sense. But where we are right now, with all of these affirmative action being taken away, and with scholarships being attacked, with grants like the Fearless Fund being attacked, like those things are what our come up is in the Black community, allowing Black people to go away to colleges that they wouldn't have had the opportunity to go to if it were not for like an affirmative action program to get them in the door. I was a strong believer. I was like, look, I went to all white school and I got so much information in going to a predominantly white school that I would not have gotten. I learned about endowments, and a lot of people don't know what an endowment is. And I'm like, that their scholarships will last forever. The scholarships at these schools will never change. They will always have the same amount of money in them, because the scholarships that they give to you is the interest. They're giving you money of the interest. And what we do is we put $20,000 in the bank, and we say that's going to be a scholarship for somebody. And, $1,000 a year, after 20 years, that money is gone. And we're constantly having to push to put money into that. But once just being able to understand, when I found that out, I was like, yo, that blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh. Like we working twice as hard, and all y'all did is work hard one time, put a kitty of money in the bank, and all y'all doing is letting your money work for you. So yes. So I see. So next year I'm gonna be looking for you to join our advisory board, because you on the same.
Absolutely. And I am very transparent about how I feel too.
I love it. I am as well. No hold bars. It's like that's all we have to give this world is our truth. And if we can't, then what else do we have? What do we have to go off of? I'm like, integrity means so much to me. And I'm like, why doesn't that mean more to people? So I'm always like, if you know, once you lie once, I'm like, all right, that's that's it.
Yep. Our slogan for She Is Made is our voice, our art, our power. So it's about amplifying our voices and our art and utilizing that as our power. So I totally agree with you when you talk about like, what do we have if not our voice and advocacy for what we need? Yeah.
I love that. So talking about that, so talk to us about like some of the things that you've done in the community. I've heard that you've done some back to school giveaways, some youth workshops. Like, what does that look like?
Absolutely. So, as I was saying before, I believe in collaboration, not competition. So, a lot of the time, I'm collaborating with like different stakeholders. That can be like the Showing Hearts Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that's well known in Queens that also believes in collaborations. Elected officials, community leaders, organizations such as Neon Works, the NYPD 103 Precinct, Community Affairs. And these are all areas in like my community, Queens, Brooklyn, and abroad. Arches and Arches alumni. I've worked with the Mediation Center on Jamaica Avenue. Most recently, in regards to the Youthpreneur program, it was a 10-week program that I facilitated, basically about what we're talking about, educating the youth on how to invest, how to create business plans, how to advocate for themselves, creating elevator pitches. And I was preparing them for our Youthpreneur Summit, where we had a panel of prominent figures in our community and successful entrepreneurs there. And our students, if selected based off of their business plan and their pitch, were able to pitch in person. It was a big community event, had an amazing time. And if you made it to the final round, you would have received funds to actually start your business. So within the workshop, I dealt with a lot of youth that were on probation, youth that had issues with their economically or in shelters, and then just the youth in the neighborhood. And it was there were challenges that presented itself, of course, because it was new to them and having to kind of figure out how to speak up for themselves and not and feel confident in that and not so shelled in, right? To be cool, and also feeling safe. So I had to actually start with like social emotional learning components and then transition into what the workshop consisted of. And out of my 30 students, about 15 students made it to the summit and 5 students made it to the finale, winning $3,000 to $1,000 to start their business. Until this day, they text me like, let me tell you what's happening. And the business ranged from community centers to clothing lines to music studios. And each business plan had to express how does it give back to the community and have a positive impact on the community. So that was kind of like a key takeaway that they had to figure out, like, what am I doing that is passionate for me? Yes, making me financially stable and helping me financially, but how is it giving back to my people as well? So that was the Youthpreneur workshop. We've done back to school giveaways.
What ages was that Youthpreneur that you did?
Whew, it was a variety. We didn't want to turn anyone down. So it stems from like 14 to about 22.
Nice. Oh my gosh, I love that. There's so many things. My mind is like going, like you talking about so many things that are near and dear to my heart, especially being able to teach kids, or should I say young people, the essence of entrepreneurship, because I didn't learn it. I was teaching my grandfather it, and he was running his own business when I was young, and there were pieces that I was teaching him. So he gave me the essence or the understanding that I could be my own business owner and I could run my household with the money that I was making. But the details behind what that looks like, how to make it sustainable, how longevity, like all of those things. So kudos to you for putting that together and allowing that spaces, being able to give them start to see money. Like, I'm like, all right, how do we jump in? Like, how do we help? How do we partner? How can we do some more of this? How can we?
We can definitely talk about that offline. And to give credit also, I worked closely with the Showing Hearts Foundation for that. They were a big part of finding the space, connecting the dots with the Mediation Center on Jamaica Avenue, sponsoring some of the supplies. So that's that. When I say collaboration over competition, these are the things that I'm talking about, right? I come in with the skill set of curating events, curating these workshops, facilitating the workshops. Showing Hearts came in with the connections to elected officials, which connected me to the elected officials, the NYPD 103 precinct, which allowed for youth that were on probation to join the youth entrepreneurship workshop. I have connections with shelters because I've done a lot of workshops with shelters, which allowed them. So the collaborative effort allows you to streamline what you're trying, that your impact and touch a variety of demographics that need it. So shout outs to the Showing Hearts Foundation.
Dope, dope, dope. Well, I'm going to take a minute right here and do a quick commercial break, and we will be back in a moment. Exciting news, New Yorkers! Juneteenth, the celebration of freedom and unity, is just around the corner. Want to be a part of this historic celebration? Now's your chance. Juneteenth applications are now open for the Juneteenth festivities in New York City. It's simple and easy to apply. Just visit our website at www.juneteenthny.com and fill out the form. Can't wait to see it. Make sure you have all your essentials ready. A unique product, your contact info, and a desire to share in this special occasion. Join a vibrant community of vendors and share your talents and culture with thousands of attendees. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Apply now because the world is about to celebrate and you should be a part of it. See you at Juneteenth in New York. Welcome back. Welcome back. Well, thank you. So that was exhilarating. And yes, we are still looking for vendors for our Juneteenth event. We're also looking for performers, and we are doing a virtual summit. And we are looking for materials to have in the background, paintings, designs. So I don't know, Leonora, if you have some stuff that you'd like to, showcase, that might be a good space for you as well to share some of your stuff. And that'll be, we're going to be doing that at CBS. So we're basically trying to outfit one of the CBS rooms with African-American artifacts, pictures, and stuff like that. So if you know somebody, including yourself, that wants to contribute to that, definitely let's talk offline about that.
100%. I have, yes. Yes.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to that. So jump back into the questions. I know we were talking, I want to jump a little bit into your other life of what you do and talk about, one, being a person of color, now being a mom, right? Being an entrepreneur and being an educator. And being a community advocate. How do you manage it all? That part.
Yes, absolutely. Being completely transparent, when you're pouring so much into your passion, your community, and others, sometimes you tend to carry the weight of the people that you're servicing, especially when you know their stories, especially when you've been there, when you're seeing it in person, and I'm an empath, so I feel very deeply, especially for my people, and so I constantly have to find ways to regroup. And thankfully, what She Has Made is something that I love to do. So even if I'm curating through that platform, it's actually healing me as I'm healing others. Yeah, it's hard, especially as a mom. My daughter's 7 months today. Not easy. However, I try to balance, time, like figuring out how to utilize my time most effectively. What's the priority? What's most important? What's the vision for the next couple of months, for the new season? What's my vision, and what do I need to do to get there? And just taking time and prayer. I ask God for discernment and for me to hear what he wants me to do and to lead me in the direction that he wants me to go, but also knowing when to like take a step back and flow in ease and take some time to myself and pour into self and be okay with, okay, this month I'm just going to take a step back. I'm very much so this. And I think God, during my pregnancy, was like, okay, girl, slow down, like just have a seat a little bit. And although I was still producing and curating events, I had to slow down because I was pregnant. And it kind of taught me like, it is okay to slow down, and it gives you time to think and clarify your vision and come back even stronger and produce better quality and quantity of events and other things.
I love that. So are there any tools that you would say that you use? Like are there any programs, any websites, any people that help, coaches that have helped keep you, going and kind of keep you in line?
Yes. So for one, therapy. I am a firm believer of therapy, as I said, and going to therapy, especially during challenging times. Another tool that I utilize is meditation and tapping, where you're tapping different parts of your body to relieve stress, and you're speaking affirmations and mantra. Right. So meditation and tapping. Another tool that I would say, especially for entrepreneurs, and I live by this, SMART goals. So a lot of the times when you're doing so many things, it kind of feels so overwhelming and like, how am I actually going to get there? It's just so much. It's going to take so long. But if you compartmentalize and create small goals to lead to your bigger goal, and where you can check things off, it's affirming. Like, yes, I did that. Oh, okay, I'm getting closer. I know what I need to do. Even if it's reading, if a goal is to finish a book and I'm so busy where I can only read 3 pages a night, I'm reading those 3 pages a night and holding myself accountable. And eventually I'm going to get to where I need, and I know what I need to do, and I know how I need to do it, and I know how to effectively do it. So for me, SMART goals, especially as a writer with deadlines and curating events and speaking and creating presentations and speeches, SMART goals. I am a strong advocate. And for one of my one-to-one, I offer one-to-one coaching around mentorship, SMART goals, life coaching. A lot of my clients come to me and we do actual like activities and talk through how to do SMART goals. And I kind of coach them in that regard to organize their life and take off that stress and let them zen a little bit. So SMART goals is a big one for me. Journaling is a big one as well. You were going to say something.
No, I was just saying, I'm like you. We're like kindred spirits. I feel like, oh, I do. I'm like, yes, I do coaching for married couples, and we use SMART goals for that as well. So we talk, just the same, like creating goals together. Your partner, because at the end of the day, life is worth living. So how are you living life even when you're married? Like life doesn't stop when you get married. So helping people. So when you were like SMART goals, I'm like, yes, like it's being like utilized in all different spaces.
Yes. 100%.
So I love that. So much to talk about after this.
And it's interesting you said life doesn't stop after marriage, because that's something that was a transition for me too, with me and my fiance, where it's like it was super challenging because I'm a first-time mom. I have respiratory issues, so I had a very challenging pregnancy where I was sick a lot. Then figuring out, okay, how do we make time for each other, but still also be great parents and be there for our daughter, but also focusing on us. And things became a little tense, and we had to like reel it in and create our goals and do our vision board. And now we find like a routine, and we are communicating better and learning each other and learning through the process of being parents with each other, because that's a whole different phase. And that trickles down into everything. Every time you're transitioning into new spaces, there's healing to be done. There's actionable steps. A lot of people say, affirm. But what is the action with affirmation? You can affirm, but what's the actionable steps, right? Yeah. You can say God got me, but God's also telling you this is what you need to do to get to where you need to be. It's just
faith without works.
Exactly.
Faith without work. So you talked about you hit on a lot of great things and what people in the community could use. to as a basis to just get themselves started, like creating a smart list. I also heard you do putting up, goals, setting them, especially if you have a partner, and as a partner in anything that you're doing, a partner in business, a partner in life. And I also heard you talking about transitions, like being mindful of transitions, or I like to call them rites of passage. Because each change in your life is a rite of passage. When you go from that 30 to 40, that's a rite of passage to me. When you have a child, every time you have a child, there's a new rite of passage, because it's nuances, new things to learn about them and yourself. So I love that you shared that in this space, and that is something that we should continue to move forward and grow towards.
Shameless plug, journaling. I published a journal as well. It's called She Made It Through the Hard Days, which is basically affirming that like it's okay to not be okay. And it's almost in a sense of self-care and wellness in the SMART goal method. Like, what can I do today if I'm feeling this way that can kind of bring me into a lighter space? How do I pour into myself? Like, there's writing prompts, there's spaces to draw, there's blank pages for people that don't like to write online, there's mantras, affirmations, actionable steps, which is on the website sheismade.com/shop. So yeah, that journal.
Can we drop that link, please? The sheismade.com. I definitely, Joanne will drop it in the chat for us. But one of the things that you are saying is something that I'm like, I desperately need, because I'm like, I'll be wanting a journal and I'll be like, well, what am I writing about today? So, and I'm like, I need to do it early in the morning, because when my mind is like the most scattered on different things. So a book like that, so I'm definitely going to look up that book and try to get me a journal. And I encourage you all as well to do so. Journaling is definitely I call it a directional sign to your soul. And as you
Hold on. Say that again.
Journaling is a directional sign to your soul.
Yes.
Being able to write things out, and it gives me strength. So I'll put it there. I'll do my I statements, right? It gives me strength. So I implore you to try it out. Anybody who hasn't, tried it in some space or form of fashion, to at least try it. Two things that came up for me, especially since you're still a new mom. Did you experience in everything that is also going on? This is another like thing for me in the maternal health lane. Did you experience any postpartum? Like, how was your experience just, going through being in the hospital? And this is totally off script, but, as you were talking about it, somebody needs to hear this. And so I just wanted to ask you that question.
Yeah. So I love to research. I research intensely. I don't like to just go by like someone's telling me something or something on social media. I like to read. I like to compare. There's not enough research in the world to prepare you for pregnancy, the healthcare system when it comes to Black women, postpartum. I'll start with my pregnancy. So I had a labor plan. I did intensive research on what was non-negotiables for me. I spoke to my OBGYNs. It was a team of 5. And whoever called that day is who serviced me. And I was told that was normal, but apparently that's not always normal. But now I know. And a lot of the times when it comes to Black women in the healthcare system, and I have experienced that as well, they implement fear and try to play off of the lack of knowledge. Then do a lot of medical interventions because that's a bill. So literally everything on my plan that I said no to occurred. And it was unfortunate because my healing, it made my healing process so much worse. I actually went into shock during my pregnancy and broke a fever and needed antibiotics because it induced me to bring my daughter out, but was telling me that, like she's not moving enough. She only hit 2 out of the 3 movements and this, that, third. But my daughter was like that. Like I knew how she moved during my pregnancy, but fear kicked in like, oh, telling me, oh, she might not make it to another week. So now I'm getting induced. Now I'm getting the balloon. Now I'm getting in my vagina every 5 minutes. Now I'm getting, it was just insane. And then healing from that was insane. And I didn't even know I had postpartum. So I want to debunk what people, how we describe postpartum. Postpartum depression doesn't always come as a continuous state. Like when you're depressed throughout after giving pregnancy, like you're just depressed every day. Sometimes it's fleeting and it comes and goes where you're actually confused in your own body and in your mind because you're just like, well, I'm okay. I had a good day yesterday, so I can't be depressed. Maybe like something's just not right. And it wasn't until I spent 5 days on the couch. I never forgot. I spent 5 days on my couch. I didn't want to shower. I didn't want to eat. I wasn't talking to my fiance. And let him tell it I was crazy. To me, I was a good pregnant woman, but whatever. He said, girl, you was mean. I was like, I don't think I was mean, but whoo, that's another story. I spent 5 days on the couch and I just didn't want to move. I did not want to move. And funny thing is, this is why I believe in what I do with She Is Made and using poetry and art as mental health and wellness. I saw a competition for Spoken Black Girl about motherhood and becoming a mother and writing a poem about that and submitting it. And I had 3 days to submit my poem. And I'm like, I'm going to do this. I have not. Everyone told me, oh, you're pregnant. You're going to be able to write your best story, your best novel. Meanwhile, I can't write nothing. I was unable to write. I'm like, I can't even breathe. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to write, and I ended up entering that contest. I'm serious. It was bad. I entered the contest. Not only did I make it, but I got the cover of the magazine, which is coming out soon. Right. And that, I didn't know that until later, but that's just very telling on how I leaned on my writing and my art to get me through that. And then I kind of shifted She Is Made for a second, in which I still cater to mothers as well. I actually have a hoodie that I just released. It says, I'm a creative, my biggest masterpiece. And on the back, it says, mom, mother, mother. I don't know if you can kind of see it.
I like that. That's
creative moms and creative dads. So I started holding spaces for mothers, whether you were pregnant, whether you're going through postpartum, whether you've been a parent. It was a space for mothers to come together and discuss their experiences, share resources, talk through things, assist each other. And it became a thing where I was constantly doing it because they're like, let's do it again, let's do it again. And a lot of the times I would get like, I'm just so shocked you're doing this right now. And you just had a baby. And I'm like, this is
helpful.
And reminding me who I am.
Yeah.
Postpartum was very difficult. It wasn't something that I recognized that I had until like a little bit further down the line. And I stayed on that couch and did not shower for 5 days. And I didn't want to eat. And then I had good days and I had bad days. And I'm like, oh, okay, I do have postpartum depression. Luckily, it didn't. To my knowledge, I didn't feel like it lasted that long. Asking my partner, he'd probably say something else, but tomorrow.
They be truth tellers. Don't worry. When your daughter's about 5, he gonna tell you more stuff.
First of all, I'm gonna push a baby out for you, and you saw what I went through. You're gonna take this attitude. You're gonna take the mood swings. My hormones all over the place. My titties are sagging. My body's different. You're gonna take it.
All of it, every inch of it, and you're gonna like it.
Hello, and give me ice cream.
With a smile. With a smile. So it was something that was this a part of your Free Fridays that you created with was this something totally different from Free Fridays?
Totally different. Was during the pandemic. So ironically enough, I was on Instagram. I went live and I was talking about my struggles with like what was happening in our community. I was actually on the ground protesting and organizing as well, which was scary because I was around so many people. I was scared for my life. And honestly, I did get COVID and my life has not been the same since. I'll tell the story, but when I went on my live, a lot of my followers were just like, we need a space. Like, can you do something virtually? Like, please do something. And so that week, I created Free as Friday, which was a virtual meetup that we did every Friday. And I would invite like community leaders, different stakeholders, people that can kind of like guide us, tell us what's going on with politically, which is something that needs to be spoken about a lot more in our community, what's happening in the politics, what is happening in the politics in our own communities, right? bringing on therapists. I had therapists kind of walk us through like different tools to utilize, different therapists that were offering free services and those resources. I had spiritual guides, which were teaching us like spiritual things for our spiritual people. And so every Friday I would formulate Free Us Friday, and we would link up. Some of us had a drink, some of us had tea, and it was just a free space to really connect to us and like talk about what's happening. And then I'd end with like journaling and affirmation and like asking them, what do you want to talk about next? And then I just curate it from there.
I love that. I wish I knew you during that time, because I I wanted to go out in the streets, but I was like, I'm a mom, like, I'm a mom first. And I'm I'm fearful of what could happen to me being out on the streets, knowing everything that has happened in the past with, us being beat up or gassed or thrown in jail, or, collarbones being broken, like, all of those things. I was fearful that might happen to me in the name of my children. And I was like, well, what else could I do? So we ended up starting a nonprofit organization for moms across the United States to tap into that. It's very similar, just so that we can kind of gather, we could talking about racial differences with people, with white affinities, like people, are like, we don't understand why all of this is happening, and who are in similar spaces. Like, they're like, I'm afraid to go out. I want to go out and help, but like, I got to worry about my kids and making sure they're safe. And how do I have these conversations with them? So I definitely applaud you for putting that together. And I hope that there are additional spaces where you're able to continue some of that work that you have been doing as well.
Every space. And I want to applaud you for starting that as well, because if this was happening now as a mom, I'd be in the same position and trying to figure out how else. There's multiple ways to protest, right? But what else can I do to protest? What else can I do to support my community? So I applaud you for starting that. That's amazing.
Thank you. It was like you said, it was a collaborative, it was a team effort. So always working in that space. So we are almost at time. So I want to give you. I know it was such a great conversation. And you were worried. You was like, I don't know what I'm gonna talk about. I said, girl, trust. I know you got plenty to share. And look, we could probably go a whole nother hour. Right. If there is anything else that you want to share, are you doing anything? Do you have anything coming up where people can come out and support you? And how do we get more of you? How do we get more of She Is Made?
Absolutely. I am for the people. My personal social media is whois.leonora. Our business page is sheis.made. Our website is sheismade.com, which you can subscribe to the newsletter so you'll always be in the know of what's happening, what events are occurring. We have yay! These are just pictures of like some of the works that I've done in the community and the protesting and panelists and things that I've curated. The one to the far right where I'm serving pizza was actually our back to school giveaway. Juneteenth was actually the two left pictures that we did at Roy Wilkins. And then the bottom was a panelist that I did about mental health and wellness at my friend's art studio, Allure Art Studio, which I helped her build up as well. And then the protest and more back to school events. But I have an open mic event on the 21st of April. That's coming up. If you go to sheismade.com/events, you'll see the information. I have tickets that range from the VIP tickets, which allow you to go to like the second floor, general admission. But then I also have a community ticket where if you are unable to afford tickets, you could donate what you can to attend, because I believe that these type of events should be open and accessible to everybody. And so it'll be at Hall of Fame Studios on 164th in Jamaica. Nice. Prominent prominent space in the music and art community, where we'll have headline performers, which I'm rolling out promo and have been all week. And then we're going to open up this space for audience participants based on their sign up to perform. We'll have music. We have a violinist. We have our DJ. There's like a bar. We'll have vendors. Just a community gathering for all of us and our creatives. I recently published an ebook. It's called Publish Bay, Your Ultimate Guide to Self-Publishing Success. And it teaches you, especially it's National Poetry Month, it teaches you how to start when you don't know where to start with writing, and then how to leverage that into a successful business, how to actually self-publish, what are things to avoid, how to market, and it's only $6.99. It's also on the website, on our shop, sheismade.com/shop. And then if you follow us on Instagram, you'll see everything that happens. We do a lot of live events virtually. We do a lot of events in person. We're actually, myself and Showing Hearts, we're opening a community hub, Queens Community Hub on Jamaica and 212, where it's going to be a co-working space where you can have meetings, workshops, networking spaces for entrepreneurs and people of color in our BIPOC communities. Our spaces, I have complete creative control, so I'm going to make some announcements and roll that out soon. I'm very, very excited about that. We're looking for artists to showcase their art on the wall, where you can actually showcase your art and sell your pieces so that local artists can get that exposure as well. It's all about exposing each other and supporting each other. So those are just some things to look out for. And our hoodies just dropped, Creative Moms and Creative Dads. It's good for style, it's good for comfort, it's good for the gym, it's good for, you could dress it up, you can dress it down. It's like my favorite sweater because this is who I am. My biggest masterpiece is my daughter. And I'm a creative. So yeah, just some things.
I love it. Well, I got a couple of questions before we head out of here. What is your favorite hip hop? Should I say, who is your favorite hip hop artist?
So I'm an Aquarius. It's hard to just like pick one, so I'm just gonna name a few. Method Man. I love Common. I love Andre 3000. Lil Wayne. I love Missy Elliott, Lauryn Hill, Lisa Lopez, just to name a few, but I can go on and on, but I don't have a particular.
I see.
J. Cole. I like variety. J. Cole.
I see.
Variety. Yeah, Dope. Yeah.
Come on with it. I love it.
Ooh, sorry.
Yes.
Biggie, Tupac. Absolutely.
The West Coast, East Coast.
It depends on my vibe. I love Dipset. I love the Locks. So it's like, yeah, I'm all over the place.
Well, I continue to say we continue to celebrate 50 years of hip hop because we are who made it. So and let's continue to lift it up. As something, don't let it just drop by because the 50 years of hip hop is not present, for this year. And what advice would you give to someone who wants to explore poetry but doesn't know where to start?
Absolutely. Right. Start by writing. It doesn't matter. Don't overthink it, right? There's the editing process, but first you need the content and the material. I personally like to just write, and then figure out which direction I'm going with the book. How do I want to make it a chapter book, and utilizing those type of thought processes. But just write. Don't overthink it. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals. Go to the open mics. Go to the workshops. There's a lot of free workshops on Eventbrite and different organizations that you can subscribe to, including my own. I do writing workshops as well, which She Has Made. Go to the workshops. Reach out to people that are poets. Do your research. Read poetry, right? You got to study your craft. Yeah. And write and put yourself out there and be your authentic self, and don't feel like, oh, so many people are doing it. There's a lane for everybody. You are different and you are deserving. So just go for it. And you can get the ebook too. That'll teach you more as well.
Exactly. Another plug. Drop it. So you talked about all of that now, and we're here, and you talked about the work that you've done with Juneteenth. So what does Juneteenth mean to you?
Absolutely. It's a celebration of Black culture, a celebration of beauty, a celebration and honoring and acknowledging our struggles and where we are, our progress. But it's also an indicator that you need to look further beyond what people tell you and really understand who you are, where you come from, what your heritage is about, and not just listen to the history being told to us. And it's a time to unite. It's unity, it's collaboration, it's celebration, it's love. It's love.
It's love. I love that. Yes. I love that. That's why my favorite color is red. Yeah. Well, that is all for me. Thank you so much, Leonora. This was a pleasure. It was such a pleasure. I'm glad that I got the opportunity to interview with you. This is so special to me. So I definitely thank you for taking the time out to bless us, to share your crafts, to share your story. Because, like I had shared earlier, we all go through experiences in life that have led us to be who we are supposed to be in this world, to be in our purpose. And you have been doing that, and please continue to do that. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me. It's been an honor. I truly enjoyed myself. I always enjoy myself when I speak to you. And God bless and celebrate each other and love upon each other and collaborate with each other and just be better.
I also see you out for Juneteenth for sure. Absolutely. We definitely want to see you coming out. Maybe you can grace our stage.
Yes, I love that.
Sometime. So I would love that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that is all for us, but I do want to share before we head out of here that we are still looking for artists, makeup artists for our glam team. We're going to be doing a fashion show on Sunday. And we are looking for people who want exposure and networking, portfolio enhancements, collaboration opportunities, skill development, brand exposure, access to products and discounts. And the deadline is April 30th. And when I tell you that this opportunity is a special one, like the person who we have curating all of this, her name is Elisa, and she is so dope. And she was actually Miss New York. She won Miss New York, and so she is dope, totally phenomenal. So we really want you to be able to join if you are looking for any type of exposure. We're working with models, working with designers, and know that this is an opportunity that has grown people in the past. Like I said, when you talking about collaboration and partnership, like all of those things are definitely what we have been able to utilize in the last 15 years of doing this. And then lastly, I wanted to share, we are also having weekly info sessions because we're still looking for vendors. So our next info session will be next week. And it is every Wednesday at 7. We're talking about what it takes to be a vendor with Juneteenth NYC. And I always say to people, working with Juneteenth NYC is not like a pop-up event. This is not like, and nothing against people who do pop-up events, but this is definitely taking it to another level. We have been able to work with over 800 entrepreneurs and help them advance over the years, in our 15 years that we've been working with them, from startup businesses to getting their own storefront companies. And so we want to be able to do that for you. So do know that if you do sign up to be a vendor, we are encouraging you to take our workshops, to do additional trainings that we're going to be offering to you so that you can level up what you are doing in your business. We talk about social media, we talk about branding, we talk about marketing, like we talk about all of those things because all of those are a part of what makes your business stand out. And I think that is all for me. So I appreciate you all. Hi. Oh, what a blessing to end off with. Thank you for bringing her on.
Bye.
Bye. Say bye. Well, have a good night, everyone. Bye. Thank you for joining us for Juneteenth NYC. Have a good day.
What's going on, Juneteenth family?
I have to take the lead because if I don't now, when will I do it?
These are all transformative mixes from since 90.
And risks are important. Risk creates results.
Make sure that you surround yourself with not only the word, but with positivity.
Foremost, for having me on for lunch and learn.
We start off by wearing all of the hats. Pun intended right there with the hats.
But we
Special needs children and civilians.
have over 30 years plus experience as a quality professional.
We basically reconstructing what we took part in deconstruct. All the street maintenance. That's how we came up with street maintenance.
I almost had to deal with MCA Records at the age of 19.
Wait a
I also partner with other daycares. We're not in a competition yet. We're not in a competition.